It's a Tuesday evening. Nia is sitting cross-legged on her sofa, laptop open, half a cup of tea going cold beside her. She wasn't planning to do this tonight. But something about this month's bank statement just didn't look right. The numbers are adding up to more than they should. And so she starts scrolling, line by line, and then she sees it. A charge she doesn't recognize. Then another, and another, and quietly, almost gently, the awful realization begins to form. She's been paying for things she completely forgot she had. This, it turns out, is one of the oldest financial traps in modern history. Nia is, by most reasonable measures, a careful person with money. She tracks her groceries. She meal preps on Sundays. She doesn't do impulse shopping, or at least not often. But here's the thing about subscriptions. They don't feel like spending. They feel like setup. You sign up once, you get the thing, you move on. The charge happens quietly in the background every month, every year, sometimes without so much as an email reminder. It's the financial equivalent of a dripping tap. You don't notice it until there's water on the floor. Nia counts them up. There's the streaming service she signed up for to watch one series 2 years ago. There's the meditation app she used religiously for about 3 weeks in January. There's a VPN she vaguely remembers needing for a trip. A cloud storage upgrade, a premium tier of something she's never once used the premium features of. 11 subscriptions in total. 3 of them she had genuinely, completely, not a clue they existed, forgotten about. And honestly, RQ, that's not unusual. Studies suggest the average person underestimates their monthly subscriptions by almost 80%. You think you spend £40 a month. You're actually spending closer to 80. And the really uncomfortable part? These services know this. They count on it. The entire subscription business model, at its most cynical, is built on one very specific human trait. We are terrible at keeping track of recurring small amounts. We remember the big purchases, the fridge, the holiday, the new laptop, but a £6 charge every month on a Tuesday, basically invisible. And here's the part that isn't your fault, because it genuinely isn't. We are wired to think about money in moments, not in streams. When you hand over 20 quid for something, you feel it. There's a transaction, a decision, a small psychological cost that makes you weigh it up. But when something quietly removes £6 on the 15th of every month, there's no decision. There's no moment. Just a ghost on your statement. Subscription companies understand this beautifully. They know that the pain of paying is sharpest when you're actively handing something over. So they remove that friction entirely. Your card is saved. The billing is automated. The charge is small enough to feel negligible. And just like that, you've opted into something permanent, using the logic of something temporary. You thought, I'll try this for a month. What you didn't think was, and if I forget to cancel, I'll pay for this for the next 4 years. That gap between what we intended and what we actually set up is where the money goes. But here's the thing, and this is the part I find genuinely fascinating. This isn't new. Not even slightly. The specific technology is new. The apps, the auto renewals, the saved card details. All of that is modern. But the pattern? The pattern of quietly paying for ongoing access to something you barely use because it felt worthwhile when you signed up, that has been going on for well over 100 years. Let me take you back a little. Victorian England, the 1870s and 80s. Middle-class life is expanding. Clerks, lawyers, minor officials, men who earn decent salaries but not extraordinary ones, are suddenly being pulled toward a new kind of social institution. The Gentlemen's Club, places like the Reform Club, the Athenaeum, the Carlton, and then dozens of smaller, less prestigious ones that were happy to have you as long as you could pay the annual subscription. These clubs weren't cheap. Membership fees ranged from a few pounds a year to quite significant sums, and on top of that there were dining fees, drinks, guest charges, but they conferred something invisible and extremely valuable: respectability. To say you were a member of a club was to say you were the kind of person who belonged somewhere. And so men joined, often more than one, because each club offered something slightly different. This one had better connections. That one was closer to the office. This other one, frankly, just seemed like the done thing. And here's the kicker. Most of them barely went. The diaries and letters of the period are full of wry confessions. Men paying annual fees to clubs they visited perhaps twice a year, feeling vaguely guilty about it, telling themselves they'd make more use of it next year, and never quite getting around to resigning. Because resignation felt like a kind of defeat, like admitting you'd overstretched yourself. And so the fees kept coming out, year after year, for access to something that mostly existed in theory. Some of these men were carrying 3 or 4 club memberships simultaneously, paying for presence in rooms they rarely entered. This was, in all but name, the subscription trap. Same psychology, same inertia, same small recurring drain that, added together, quietly hollowed out a budget. If you're finding this video useful, and I hope you are, this would be a brilliant moment to hit like and subscribe to Money Tapestry. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people who need to hear exactly this kind of thing. Right, back to the Victorians, because it gets more interesting. Now, not everyone fell into this trap. Some of the more financially clear-eyed men of the period, and a growing number of women managing household accounts, with extraordinary precision, started doing something very deliberate. They audited their memberships. Not dramatically, not with shame, just quietly, annually, the way you might review anything else you were paying for regularly. They asked, did I actually use this? Not did I intend to. Not did I mean to. Not do I like the idea of belonging. Did I use it? And if the answer was no, or barely, they resigned. They absorbed the small social awkwardness of it and redirected the money. Not toward anything glamorous, just toward stability, toward the things they actually valued and actually used. The ones who managed well over long periods shared a trait. They treated recurring costs differently from one-off costs. A one-off purchase gets evaluated at the moment of buying. A recurring cost, they understood, needs to be reevaluated regularly because the conditions that made it worthwhile at the start might not still apply. You joined the club because you hoped to network there. 3 years later, you've never once struck up a useful conversation over the port. Time to go. That discipline, that habit of looking back and asking, is this still earning its place, is exactly what separates the people who feel financially in control from the people who feel like money just quietly disappears. And it didn't require wealth. It required attention. So here we are, back on Nia's sofa, back to the 11 subscriptions and the cold cup of tea. And the lesson from all of that isn't that subscriptions are evil or that you need to cancel everything and live austerely. That's not the point. The point is that recurring costs require recurring attention, not constant, obsessive, anxiety-inducing attention. Just a regular, calm audit. The same review that the careful Victorian clerk gave to his club memberships applied to your digital life, because the maths is actually quite startling when you do it. If Nia cancels just 3 of those forgotten subscriptions, let's say they come to £22 a month combined. That's £264 a year, quietly returned to her. Not because she overhauled her lifestyle, not because she made any dramatic sacrifice, just because she looked. The money was always there. It just needed someone to notice it was leaving. And this is where I want to gently push back on the way we tend to talk about budgeting. Because the usual framing is, you need more discipline, more willpower, more tracking apps, more spreadsheets. But that's not really what this is about. Willpower is terrible at managing recurring things. You can't willpower your way out of a system designed to run invisibly in the background. What you need instead is a habit of review, a scheduled moment, not constant vigilance, just a scheduled moment, where you look at what's leaving your account on autopilot and ask, does this still belong here? That shift from passive subscriber to active decider is quite a significant identity shift. You stop being someone things happen to financially, and you start being someone who chooses consciously and regularly where their money goes. That's not budgeting in the stressful sense. That's just paying attention on your own terms, on a schedule you control. So here's what I'd actually suggest. This week, not someday, this week, open your bank statement and make a list of every recurring charge. Every single one. Don't judge them yet, just name them. That's your audit. Then, for each one, ask one question. Did I use this in the last 30 days? Not do I intend to. Not do I like having access to it. Did I actually use it? If the answer is no, cancel it. Today, not next month. Today, Then set a recurring reminder. Quarterly is fine. Twice a year is fine. To do this again. 5 minutes. That's all it takes. And as a small, grounded starting point, cancel just one forgotten subscription this week. Just one. See how it feels to actively choose where your money goes, rather than passively letting it drift. Try that for the next 30 days, then reassess. Not judge, reassess. There's a difference. Here's the thing I want you to take away from all of this. Subscriptions aren't a character flaw. Forgetting to cancel things doesn't mean you're bad with money. It means you're human in a world that has been very cleverly designed to encourage exactly this kind of forgetting. The Victorian gentlemen weren't weak. They were just human, the same way we are, paying for belonging and access and possibility, and quietly struggling to let it go. The difference between feeling financially chaotic and feeling financially calm is often not income. It's awareness. Small, regular, unfrightening awareness. And you just spent the last few minutes building some. If you want me to make other videos explaining these topics, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for more smart insights. Thanks for watching.